RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's. What is this? This is our daily brief. I think this is our public broadcast. We'll try. Whoops. Oh, geez. Now Zooms are disappearing. I don't even know if I'm still connected. Am I still connected, Chris? Okay. Oh, your little camera thing just disappeared. Let's see. I guess we can put on that chat and maybe we can put on the participants. Let's see who's here. Oh, Murad's here. If I understand correctly, Murad's going to chat with us a little bit in the after party here today. So super excited to hear what's on Murad's mind.
Yes.
Also, probably a good review of things like relative rotation. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Hey, there he is. Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Hey, Chief. All good. Brian,
Awesome.
how are you doing? Where are you?
Always better when I get to hear your voice. I'm super excited. Kind of the stock market continues to do its very odd gyrations. Had a very significant disconnect with the breadth here back the end of January, beginning of February. So the whole month, basically, the breadth indicator has been saying you better be careful. And I did find it interesting that recently we had news. Bill Gates, I think, said he sold all of his stock and he's getting out. Had a bunch of insiders from the various different tech companies all saying they're selling. So yeah, a little bit of screwy times in the market, no doubt about it. I do like using the breadth indicator as sort of indicator confirmation kind of idea. That second criteria for hunting trade setups. The only problem is I don't know whether we really have the best trade location to actually be hunting shorts just yet on things like the stock market. Did notice as I was going through the rags though, like market darlings, like things like Apple. Jesus, that's actually like an Adam and Eve fail setup. So very interesting market state. A lot of the previous leaders are no longer leading anymore. And maybe the market's sort of searching for new leadership right now. I don't know. So a little bit of a screwy market state, that's for sure. Some really pretty charts, though, I will say. The gold market, of course, is booming. I had mentioned this one in Julian's broadcast yesterday. This was an idea from one of our OGs. He's been around the site 10 years, David O. Beautiful weekly W's with moving average crosses. You can see like this thing crossed bearishly way over here back in 2021. And these gold stocks are slowly turning the corner here. So I did notice today, while we're going through our regular sort of machinations in the market, commodities markets are just boom higher here. Gold's taken off like a rock. What's that guy's name? Rich Dad, Poor Dad guy. He's been a bet the farm on silver.
Robert
One of these days, I suppose he's vindicated. Today was kind of an odd day too, like econ wise, because we had some econs come out first thing this morning. Let's see if I can find that chart and that screen for you. It was kind of a funny start to the day. Where are we here? I think I had all these. Yeah. Trying to put everything on one page, having like 3 or 4 different tabs, it's got a little difficult to jump around. Anyway, news coming out of the gate first thing this morning was relatively benign, but look at that damn Japan. Up another 874 points. I think I've told you guys often in the past, we'd actually just look at Japan for sort of leadership. And of course, I don't even want to look at Toyota Motor Company. Oh my goodness. Can't believe that damn market. I think it's like over $500 a share. Not that bad. Interesting to see the Sensex, which I think is sort of like Chinese market to a certain degree. I'm not exactly positive. Interesting how Shanghai, no, not really moving. But Japan just really just on fire here. Econs that came out today, nothing. I mean, what's fascinating is we've got the economy itself actually doing relatively well. And probably the best thing to do is pull up this sort of real-time print here. So there's Japan, geez, up even more following the US econ release. So if Japan's doing that, then my hunch is that things like the US tech stocks are going to be pretty happy on the day. But the econs that came out today, ISM manufacturing PMI, actually kind of weaker than expected. It was a little bit of a surprise. When we look at the data prints here this morning, this was kind of an odd day too, because we didn't really have a hell of a lot of news that started out the day. I did the opening range trade in the crude oil this morning and it failed. So I started out behind the ball. Then I took a bearish bot on crude and that failed. So I was going batting 0 for 2, but then actually another one of these ICT setups came in on crude. I took that and actually it worked out quite nicely. So it kind of brought the day back to scratch. But the data came out, ISM manufacturing PMI here came in just slightly lower than expectation. And even the internals, manufacturing employment coming in softer. Of course, everybody's worried about that. And University of Michigan consumer sentiment numbers came out, and they also were lower than expectations. So the only thing that actually beat was the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI final. I'm not exactly sure what the hell the difference is between these. Keep adding a whole bunch of words to these, but anyway, long and short of it here is this headline ISM manufacturing PMI in the States slightly softer, but this global manufacturing actually ticked up. What the hell does that mean? I'm not quite sure. I get the impression though, and really what was kind of bothersome about today's price action was as soon as all these data prints came out that actually were weaker than expected, weaker than expected, weaker than expected, we had just a whole bunch of Fed speakers here for the morning. And it was fascinating. Actually, I was in this crude oil trade and actually it was working quite nicely. And then literally the moment the Fed speakers started talking, the whole market just completely reversed, which was a bit of a piss off because I was sitting on a really nice short trade there. I don't know whether I can show you that or not. That was actually, I think it was over here. Oh, now they're bringing the market back down. Let's go over here. So that was all through this. So working a nice short, took some profits, moved my stop to scratch on the runners, just see where this thing could take us. Never even did get down to the VWAP, but this is such a really good analogy for everybody. If you do fancy yourself a trader, that as soon as these damn Fed speakers coming, I mean, we had nice double tops. They had the whole ICG, market structure shift, fair value gap, blah, blah, blah. Basically, I just shorted the reload zone. Yeah, that's very typical of what I do. And risk to new highs. Came really close, came within like a couple ticks of getting stopped, but didn't. And then it worked. And then all of a sudden the Fed starts speaking. And, is this market manipulation or what, eh? Literally, the Fed starts speaking, the whole damn market just launched itself higher here. Now it appears maybe we're giving back a chunk of that gain. I was a little surprised to see, we were well above 3% move higher here on things like the crude oil, which is not normal. That's I think I've told you guys before, a good rule of thumb. If you do see the market above 2-3% move, maybe that's a little too far too fast. So Anyway, they are giving some of that back now. We did actually have the European close right up here. I get the impression that they kind of ran the Europeans, considering it was Friday. They ran the Europeans out on their knees, causing them, maybe to cover shorts or maybe take profits on longs, but probably cover shorts at absolutely horrible prices. Pretty typical. I guess the market that really is surprising me here today. Look at that gold up like $40 an ounce, just booming higher. And I think, as I said there to start the broadcast off, these gold stocks, gee whiz, look how pretty that chart is. I wanted to be a buyer here on a breakout of this weekly W, which is $1.60. And right now, look at that, 174. So can't touch it right now. Hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, I can get a nice little pullback and sneak my way in there. But what a pretty chart. And I'm seeing a lot of these gold stocks. Oh, geez, look at that. So there goes the camera again. It died again. I'm not quite sure why. But yeah, for some reason, I don't want to mess around with that. I think probably let's just not even bother having the camera on here today. So, and I've noticed, of course, I think I've told you this before. One thing that, and of course, this obviously is the same with Bitcoin and crypto. But I have been super bullish of things like Newmont, just waiting patiently for the turn. Why? Because if we actually go back, and I think I've shown you guys this before, if we go back into the 1980s, which I think is sort of the similar part of the cycle, 1984, you can see that's right here. I think that we're going through this kind of period, but look at what's coming ahead of us here for these gold stocks. I mean, gee whiz, that's crazy, eh? So like that's like 14, 15 bucks all the way up to 70, $80. So I don't think Newmont itself is ready to go just yet. Don't see any weekly W's. But like I said, the markets that are putting in these weekly W's, I think you ought to pay attention to them. And FYI, of course, I want to get in on the long slide of these kind of ideas. And of course, good old Bitcoin. Woohoo! Digital gold to the man. I wonder, though, whether maybe we've gotten a little bit ahead of ourselves. If you actually look at the lower time frame charts, things are starting to look a little heavy. I don't think it's a good idea to start calling tops and shorting, into the face of this rip-roaring bull. These are the daily charts. The way that I like to sort of frame this is, number one, do we have trade location? We are coming up against previous highs. This is an institutional fingerprint idea. Somebody stopped the bull here previously. What's really scary, though, and I tweeted this out, is if you actually do like an M1, which is like all the cash in circulation in society, we're not even anywhere close to the Donald Trump peaks, which is such a fascinating commentary on what's real and what isn't. There's the Donald Trump peak at $20,000. But if you adjust this for the way they've diluted the shit out of the money supply and completely destroyed our standard of living, thank you very much, 1%. Love you all immensely for that. And of course, hopefully you can respect my sarcasm there. If we actually, I did tweet this out. It's an interesting image. And I don't know, we'll probably only want to keep this to about 15 minutes. I've asked actually Chris to sort of put like a hard stop on these at 15 minutes, and then we'll just carry on the conversation in the after party. But let's see. Here is the M1 adjusted chart. And fascinating, there is that 64,000 peak. There's Donald Trump's peak way over there in 2017-18. And to me, this looks like what's called a narrow sideways channel. You can see we went down, tested the bottom, come up here a few times, tested the top, and we've actually gone through these highs now here. So, it's just ironic that, about a year and a half ago, I was going crazy. Get shit together, get your act together, get ready, and oh boy, here we are. And the problem now, of course, is the public's starting to come in. But can I justify telling you people to come in and spend your hard-earned money on assets that look like this now? I mean, I'm long this thing down here, Here's a 15 minutes. Thank you very much for the alert, Chris. So I appreciate that. So, we'll hang out in the after party. We'll touch base with Murat, see what sort of the relative rotation is. Wouldn't mind actually going through a few of these names. And then also, too, hats off to Steven. He sort of got us all excited about this Solana network launching and stuff at TRI. And then we've had a whole bunch of people join our community here recently that are Solana bulls. And, when I started putting out upside projections for Solana, keep in mind, they funded me with a whole bunch of Solana, and the community did, which was kind of fun. And I've just been allocating the Solanas into all of these various names. And these names are starting to go a little bit nutso here. Here's a really good example. I think these ones, Pepe and Peep, where they're flying, of course, and whenever I want to show you something. Typical. Anyway, can't show you that. But actually there are names that I was buying. There was one that Steven was super excited about. Well, why the hell is that not loading? Give me a break. Anyway, love to show you that thing. He's popping. But actually there was one that I just bought, this PSY, but of course, when you want to show people stuff, these things never load. So anyway, maybe in the after party when we're not broadcasting publicly, we can maybe this will load. I have no idea why it's not. Anyway, oh, there you go. So you can see I went and picked up a little bit of this kind of guy. This is a very typical kind of trade for Brian. Good trade location, broken down trend lines, starting to put in W's. So I want to go and buy. So interestingly enough, when we look at that account, this was funded with $500. So we seem to be moving in the right direction. That's encouraging. We've got a whole bunch of orders working. Just having fun in the marketplace. We'll see what happens here. So let's head on over to the after party. Maybe we'll take a look at a few of these names if the charts will load. And then also the problem is I can't really buy that, SHIB and Doge. I bought the Doge down here about a year ago. Bought even just this SHIB just recently off this pretty little W, and you can see, of course, what it's doing. So this is the kind of market where now you should be getting paid for all your hard work. Impossible to say how long this is going to last. Clearly these markets are going parabolic. I used to have a buddy of mine in the market used to always say, make hay while the sun's shining. So the sun is shining on this space. And if you did buy off the bottoms, maybe start thinking about paying yourself for your hard efforts. And then if you're thinking about, where are some places to think about putting some money to work? There's actually a few names that I was looking at. And ironically enough, something like Apple is the absolute last thing in the world I want you thinking about buying here. I think I showed you that chart. I don't know where the hell it is. But there's that gold name I was just showing a second ago. Look at this one. This is a consumer retailer. Goods. Nice W coming in there. Vance Auto Parts. Interesting weekly W's. So there are names to consider doing on out there as well. And I said, there's a few little Solana names that are trying to bottom as well. And hopefully what you see when you talk to a guy like me, listen to a guy like me, is that this is the kind of chart that I'm interested in buying. I want to buy at the bottom end of the range, seeing W's come in, and of course love to see some momentum indication. So and names like this, I'm selling into those rallies and ringing the register and paying myself for my hard work. So anyway, there's your market state. All right, I think we'll leave it at that. We'll try and do a broiler chicken show on Sunday. My apologies. Coinigy Joe, unfortunately, was absolutely overwhelmed with personal stuff that was going on in his life. So we couldn't do that show on Wednesday, but I watched Julian yesterday. Thought he did a fantastic job for you guys. I think we have a pretty well-rounded group. And of course, like I said, in the after party, we're going to check in with our level 2 instructor, Murat, and see what the relative rotation study is telling us. Always fun to check in with him. So feel free to pop on over and join us, and you can do the 30-day trial. It doesn't even cost you much to participate and kick the tires. Maybe you might even enjoy the conversation and decide to join our community. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins race. Don't take no wooden nickels. And remember what your number one job is. All the best, and bye for now.